Yeah, Christians today confuse emotionally charged events with God.
Yeah.
You know, and they assume sitting on top of the mountain, experience an incredible sunrise. The weather is perfect. You're with the people you love, and you're crying because you're so overwhelmed by the beauty of whatever is going on.
Yeah.
They say that that's God.
Yeah.
The problem is that that's not God. I would argue, the correct Christian interpretation of that event is that is something God has blessed me with. He's given me this world to exist in, to enjoy, not to worship, though. And I think that's where Christians can potentially enter into unknowing, like almost like idolization of the creation rather than the creator, right?
Yeah.
Your enjoyment. So like, this is from a personal experience. There was a point where I would have said, like when I'm playing my favorite video game and have a great drink, I just experience God so well in that moment.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I'm enjoying something that God has blessed me with, but that's not necessarily me enjoying my relationship with God.
Yeah.
It's not wrong for me to sit there and play my favorite video game and enjoy a good coffee or whatever. But it's not God. It's not God in his truest form. You know?
Well, then with that logic, then where is it God then? When do you experience him then with that logic?
Well, you don't experience him through feeling. You experience him. Okay, I can see that. Are you asking however could you know him if that's not how you experience him?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, if it's like if you rationalize, because that's kind of the same way I would rationalize it, then I'm like, well, then where would you be experiencing? Also, I don't know why we call him a him too either, but that's another subject.
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I would argue that God does give you... I should be careful when I say what I just said. It's not that God never gives you feelings and emotions. It's not that he can't ever make you feel a certain way, but that thing that you're experiencing is not God. It's maybe a byproduct of your relationship with God, but it's not God. So what I would say is the core foundation of your relationship with Jesus or God, whatever, or whoever this God is, just to be fair for the sake of conversation. Let me go back. From the Christian perspective, the way that you know God is by studying his attributes, which come from the Bible.
Yeah.
Which
were written by people.
Yeah. But record, especially in this sense of the Gospels, like historical events. And so if you see these attributes of Jesus, you see his teachings, you see him teaching humanity to do certain things, to live certain ways, to act a certain way, to treat people a certain way.
Yeah.
That's how I would argue that's how we know God better, because you're getting as close as you can to God when he's expressed in a human.
Okay. So you're saying like getting more aligned to like everyone kind of like living in, say, harmony-ish on the world is getting closer to God kind of thing.
I think that would be...
Is that kind of what you're...
kind of an optimistic way to look at it, maybe. I would say that it's not necessarily about harmony. It's about, in the second world, in the new world, it'll be harmony in some ways, I guess. But I would say it's just about knowing the things that are written down about him, and then through that you naturally will learn more about God.
Yeah.
Does that kind of answer your question? Maybe.
Kind of, a little bit.
Maybe elaborate on what you're saying.
Well, I think it's just maybe I don't like to get higher up with like on the scale level of it. I don't like to get higher up into what I think, because it's like once I'm talking about you and your nuances like inside of Christianity, it's like I kind of have like no way to talk to you. Okay. You know what I mean? If I don't like subscribe to your fundamental like postulate that there's a God, you know what I mean? It's like once I don't subscribe to that, it's like there's no real use or purpose, I feel like, of me arguing with you about that like certain belief that you have inside of that box, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah. So then let's just back it up. Yeah. I would say let's just stay away from even we could probably touch on like Jesus existing, but we don't need to go to like
I'm pretty sure he existed as far as historians. You know what I mean?
I would say if you deny just the existence of Jesus, you're just foolish. There's so many people that say that. Like that said he didn't even exist, none of his apostles existed. Like,
well, that's just if you're just into history, he's there.
Yeah. There was a passage that I wanted to read real fast just so I don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it won't matter to you.
Or at least he's as much there as any other historical figure. And he's actually probably more there than a lot of other historical figures.
He is. So
because he's very like talked about and very like
right in extra biblical sources
documented.
Too. Yeah. So like Tiberius, the Roman emperor of the time, there is actually less historical documentation of him
about him.
Than Jesus.
Yeah. No, I've heard one of my buddies talk about how like it's either Greek or Roman stuff. How it's like all of our history from like Greek or like it's either Greek or Roman. I can't remember.
It's
but
probably
it's like
both.
It's like
Roman
based on like barely anything.
Mm.
It's just like one like little book or something like that. You know, it's like
I
there's
know
all this history. But like Jesus definitely, he's got a lot of stuff about it.
Well, he's got the 4 Gospels, which I would argue are historical pieces of literature. And then you've got Josephus. You've got Tacitus, which is Josephus is a Jewish historian who was he was. I don't remember. I just read about him recently because I didn't know a ton about him. But he was a Hebrew, a Jew, and then I think what happened is he surrendered. Like the Romans came into wherever he was living, killed a bunch of people, and he was the only one that was like, I surrender. And they took him in and actually made him part of the Roman, like someone's family. I think he actually came under the emperor or something, and then received like honor because he surrendered, and then used Roman funding to learn more about his people, the Jewish people, and then he included Jesus and his crucifixion and stuff. And then Tacitus was an actual Roman historian as well. So both of them were historians that were not Christian at all.
That referenced Jesus.
They reference him and record, I'm pretty sure, his crucifixion as well.
Oh, really?
Which throws because the big Islam thing. I've been on an Islam kick recently. I'm sure you picked up on that. They say he wasn't crucified, which I think is so strange.
Oh, okay.
So weird. I don't get it. And then the Jews say he wasn't resurrected.
It's probably doing some of that confirmation bias, like
Islam?
I say. Well, like it's like they probably just have some reason why they don't want him to have been crucified that fits some hole that they have, you know.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about Islam in particular and Mormonism that I don't want to I really want to get into it, but I want to go back to your story. Do you have anything else you want to say about history side of things and Jewish and Jesus existing and all that?
No. Just like I was just saying, it's just like I just find it like it's like futile because I've had a bunch of talks. It's like it's futile to have any like kind of like insights or any worthwhile conversation arguing or talking about like things inside your box.
Yeah, when you don't even recognize the box as existing.
Yeah. Like my problem's outside the box kind of thing, you know, before the box, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.